The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse Ewing. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle, where you can access your full potential right now. Finally break free from destructive habits. That dream life, if you want it, you can have it. This is where you transform your health, mind, business, and relationships. Or do nothing and keep your life the way it is. But if you're ready for change, you're in the right place. This is where you're gonna learn how to live a habit-based lifestyle. You are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewing. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.
All right, what's happening, guys? Jesse, Habit-Based Lifestyle, and I'm coming at you in part 3, which is our goal-setting series, Aligning Your New Self. So today, as we get going on this, I'm going to walk you through the framework that I use in really understanding how to line up the feelings that you have for what you say you want. If you've been following along with this, the first thing that we kind of did is set up our 1-year goals. We set up our 90-day goals, and then we also broke them down into kind of a strategy on how to hit that. Now, today, what we're going to do is line up our values, our beliefs, and how we are actually going to pull this off. So, aligning your new self. I think this is one of the most important things and the most important steps people miss out on. Yes, having a powerful what, like, hey, knowing exactly what you want, knowing why you want it, all these things are important. And in fact, going into the strategy of really breaking down the habits that are going to help me get there, the 30-day benchmarks, the 60-day benchmarks, these are all super powerful things. But I think people miss out on aligning their new selves and really understanding like who they would have to become to pull off their goals and pull off what they're actually doing. So as I walk you through this today, I just want to share with you the things that I've used to really be successful inside of this. And that's what my hope is that you guys are having access to this. And I hope when you watch this, you're like, man, this makes a lot of sense. Cause I really believe that I have a gift on breaking these things down and making them really simple for you to understand so that you can step into this and really get the most out of it. So as we get into this, I want you to type in replay. I want you to type in live. If you're watching live, if you're coming back through this, which a lot of you probably are, just type in replay and one takeaway that you're going to get from this. So who would you have to be to actually pull off the goals that you set out to accomplish? So who would you have to become to pull this off? So like, what are the beliefs and identity you would have to change or to be this person? And so this is where we start is like, hey, what are the beliefs I would have to be this person? What are the beliefs that I would have to eliminate? So like beliefs that I would have to change, beliefs that I would have to eliminate to be or become this person. What is some changes in identity? I think it's important that we realize that like we have beliefs that have kept us stuck in a place. Maybe it's a past belief someone has maybe told you and you've hung on to it, or maybe someone's painted you into an identity that you've adopted, but it deep down, it's not who I am. It maybe is who I'm showing up as, but it's not necessarily who I am. And so if you're watching this, just realize that like, hey, our beliefs usually come, from an early age. These are things that we're going to have to always work on, especially when we want to grow into or become this new person. we really have to understand what are the beliefs that I'm going to have to change. What are the beliefs that I'm going to have to eliminate? What are the beliefs that I'm going to have to become to be this new person, or to become this, person I want to become? What is the identity that I might have to change? So for me, a few years ago, I remember selling my gyms, and I kind of went from this identity of being like a gym owner to being a coach, or like a lifestyle coach. And I don't even really want to say that that's like my identity, but I really had to kill this identity of being a gym owner and become this new identity. Like, what are the things that I would have to change in myself to become this coach? So like, I had to get rid of the idea of like, hey, I'm a gym owner, I'm a trainer, all these things that I had lived by for like 20 years. And so this whole identity I had to rip away and strip away. Everything that I had known, everything that I'd become, I had to strip away, from being a gym owner to lifestyle coach to, transformation, whatever you want to call it. But that identity was going to keep me stuck. And so the beliefs that went with that, I had to eliminate, I had to change also at the same time. And so anytime you're changing beliefs, anytime you're changing identity, you're becoming someone different. You are going to have to change those things about yourself, especially the way you see yourself. Because I could no longer just see myself as this trainer. So like, many times we want to make this change of a belief, or we want to make this change of an identity, because we no longer want to be seen as just maybe this type of person. The identity that we have had is starting to get shattered, and this new person is kind of being accessed. And so inside of that, we're going to have to change our identity. We're going to have to change some of our beliefs in order to be that person. Now, a simple question, like, what would you have to do? So what would I have to do differently? What would I have to do, or to be? What would what strategy would you have to have? So what would I have to do? So if you think about like, who would I have to become? What would I have to do to be this person? So in order to do this differently, or change these things, I would have to start doing some things differently. I would have to change my approach, that I could no longer just offer nutrition and fitness. I couldn't lead with these things anymore if I wanted to identify or be this new identity of being a lifestyle coach. I couldn't lead with fitness and nutrition. So what would I have to do? What would your strategy be to already be this person? So if we think about, I would have to show up differently with a different strategy of leading with lifestyle change and communicating with the way that I help people that didn't lead with fitness, didn't lead with nutrition and those things. And so I would have to change the way I communicated. I would have to shift into this new person, this new strategy, and communicate in a different way that didn't necessarily involve fitness and nutrition. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not part of what I'm doing. It's just not at the beginning. So I always think like, this is a health driven result, where this might be more of like a wealth driven result. And so leading a little bit more with, the wealth side, and having health as part of it, but not the very first part of it. So the cool thing about this is really just being able to map this out for each area, is really like, what are the beliefs I'd have to change in my physical health to become this person? What are the beliefs I'd have to change in my business to become this person? What are the beliefs I'd have to change in my marriage to be this person? Or as a father, what's the identity I'd have to change? So we really want to go through each individual area. We've set a goal, and really go through what are the beliefs inside of my physical health, mental health, relational health, financial health that I would have to change. What's the identity I would have to change in these areas also, because those also change. And then what would I have to do differently to show up, or what strategy would I have to do this? Now, this is where we get into a little more technical stuff. We're diving deeper into strategy and realizing, man, I can't just, be this gym owner. For me, it was like leaving a gym that I had built, me and my wife had built for 13 years, and completely starting over, kind of eliminating all the people that we had once worked with and starting over. Now, I think the biggest thing that we miss out on is like, hey, what would it feel like to already have what we say we want? So I'm just going to put have it. So I think the important thing is anytime you set a goal, anytime that you are setting, whatever you want to call these outcomes, targets, I think it's important that we see the vision. Like, we've created this vision, but we also have to feel the vision. Like, can I visualize seeing myself already having this thing? I can remember even doing a podcast last year with a gentleman, and he's like, hey, feeling is believing. And so I think feeling the goals, or feeling our beliefs, our identity shifting, feeling what it would feel like to already have what we say we want, and seeing ourselves with that. Like, hey, what would it feel like? What are the feelings and emotions that I would have, being this lifestyle coach? Man, what are like feelings I would have? I would feel like proud. I would feel certain. I would feel accomplished. I would feel confident. I would feel blessed. I would feel driven. I would feel certain. I would feel clarity. So like all these things are feelings that I would have if I already had that. And where we want to begin to identify our goals is we want to act as if we already have what we say we want. And I think feelings and emotions give us the feeling as acting as if we already have it. Now, this is one of the secrets to goal setting is like, they say gratitude is actually waking up, or, being grateful for something as if you already have it, but it may not be in your possession. That is the real definition of gratitude. And so if we're thinking about things this way, oftentimes we wait to have gratitude till we've already accomplished something, or we've already done it, or it's in our possession. This form of gratitude is like, hey, we're acting as if we already have it. Some might call this, faith. You may not see it, but you feel it, and you're believing in it. And I think that's where we really miss out on goal setting, is like, hey, we have to act as if we already have what we say we want. And so what does that mean? Like, who would I have to become to act as if I'm already that lifestyle coach? I would have to step into that, and lead in a different way. So like acting, instead of like waiting to change as a, maybe a businessman, acting as if you've already made those changes, instead of, waiting to be the husband you've always, dreamed of, just waking up and acting as if you already become the husband, acting as if your marriage is already where you want it to be, instead of waiting for something to change. And that's where, if you're watching this, think about how often you wait to step into that identity, or you wait to step into that belief, waiting as if it happens. So like if I wanted to be a millionaire, or if my goal was to be a millionaire, instead of waiting till I made $1 million, I would just act as if I already had $1 million. And that's what I'm really talking about here is, who would I have to become? What would I have to do? And then what would it feel like to already have that, acting as if we already have it? So like, I'm not going to be a millionaire if I don't show up like one and act as if I already am. If I'm waiting to become one first, then I'm going to be waiting a long time. And this is where we get into, action. I love people that are like, oh, take action, but like really just acting as if we already have it, acting as if we've already accomplished what we've said we wanted. Like if I wanted to lose 20 pounds, like most people are going to wait until they lose 20 pounds to act as if they've lost it. But I would sit there and say, okay, well, what would it feel like to already have lost 20 pounds? What would my emotions be? How different would I show up as if I acted already like I've lost it when I go to the gym, when I go to anywhere, when I go to eat, when I go to all these places? Like, how would I act different if I already had lost the 20 pounds? That's how I want to show up, because that's reinforcing that, like, hey, I'm already there. Feelings, identity, the beliefs. And so it's going to happen that much quicker. And that's where we really have to get good at setting goals, setting outcomes, setting targets, whatever you want to call it. And this is one of the fundamental places I see people miss out on is this. So like, if you're watching this, go back through your goals for the year. Go through this. What are things that I'd have to change? Go back through your 90-day and really lay this out and say, okay, if I'm going to act like I already made $500,000 or $1 million, like what are the beliefs and identity, what shifts I'd have to make? What would I have to do differently? And maybe for some people, it's like, man, I just keep showing up in scarcity. No wonder I'm not getting closer to making $1 million, because I'm acting like a broke person instead of acting like I already have it. Now, that doesn't mean that, hey, I'm going to go out and buy a Ferrari. But think about this is like, whatever that is, like maybe have that picture of whatever it is that you want, or maybe it's a new house and you visualize yourself in this room, visualize yourself in this house, walking in for the first time, pulling the doors open, you visualize yourself sleeping in it, going in room to room, whatever it has on it, you're acting as if you already have that. So when you're in meditation, when you're in prayer, you're actually visualizing yourself and getting up out of that, acting as if you already have what it is that you set out to accomplish. That's where we really want to line up feelings and emotions, because those drive our behavior. And those also, thing about feelings and emotions is we don't know if they're past or present. What matters is that we learn how to feel them and we learn how to access them. And that's really where we want to act as if we already have it. And some people are like, man, like, I just can't do that. But like, you have to really work at it and see yourself in that place. And I really believe that this is one of the keys to setting goals and accomplishing what you say you want. Because if you don't see yourself or act in faith as if you feel it, like the chances of you getting there are 50 to 60% less in doing that. And so part of this requires you faith, but it also requires you to do the work in getting there. So guys, if you have any questions, feel free to type in the comments. Maybe there's something you learned from this. I can't see right now if anybody's on there, but I do want to see you guys really look at this as a powerful tool that you can use going into 2021. Because I think this is something that a lot of people don't teach. They don't work on this a lot, but I really think that this is what kind of separates what we do in habit-based lifestyle to other programs. We're going to get deep into the feelings, deep into the identity, deep into the beliefs, and really start to change those. So I want to thank you guys for being on here, and we'll talk to you soon.
The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse